Hey, everybody, Off the Mic Sports Network here. Another edition of Off the Top Rope. Holy crap, NXT. Um, I did not watch this. I went back and took a peek at some of the stuff. I saw highlights. Couple shock title changes that happen on this show that could have long-term ramifications on WWE. First and foremost, let's start off with the beginning of the show. Ethan Page is now the North American champion. He beats Ricky Saints. That was a short run for Ricky Saints. Two things could happen with him. He could A, go after Obafemi for the NXT championship, or he could be on the main roster. I don't have any reason to believe why he would go to the main roster at this point, just because the NXT men's division is so depleted. I thought that was a shocking result. And then the main event happened. Jacy Jayne, who over the weekend smacked Stephanie Vaquer in the face at Battleground after Stephanie Vaquer had retained over Jordan Grace, which I thought was a coin flip, but I was like, yeah, Stephanie's probably going to win. She just won the title. She's had a decent run with it. You know, maybe the main roster's in her cards, but they'll wait a little bit. Due to a bunch of interference from Fatal Influence after they teased that Fatal Influence was going to break up, Jacy Jayne is the NXT Women's Champion. Let me say that again. Jacy Jayne is the NXT Women's Champion. 1/3 of Toxic Attraction, 2/3 of them. Mandy Rose is no longer there. Gigi Dolan's there. First and foremost, let me say this before I just get into the ramifications. And I know some people are going to hammer away in the comments saying, haha, Stephanie got buried. Mercedes would have never done that. And we can go down that road in a second. Let's be happy for Jacy Jayne. This woman has had to grind through a lot of bullshit in the last couple of years. Like she had the whole arc with Thea Hale. Like Toxic Attraction was going to be on the main roster. She had the falling out with Gigi Dolan. And now she forms Fatal Influence with Fallon Henley. And she's kind of been a lackey in this group. And I mean, former women's tag team champion in NXT, never won singles gold until now. But this was just a shocking result. Like a shocking result, considering 2 nights ago you had Jordan Grace, one of the most ready-made built women that you could potentially have, being the NXT Women's Champion. And you go with Jacy Jayne, and you know what? Hey, it's a shock move. It shows you, hey, you always got to be on your heels when you watch NXT, because you just don't know what the fuck is going to happen. No, you don't know who's going to show up. Mike Santana was on this show tonight, but holy mackerel, man, this was a shocking result. So first and foremost, I'm thrilled for Jacy Jayne, considering what she's had to put up with in the last 4 to 5 years since being on the NXT roster. So to be at the top of this division, whether shock move or not, it creates a lot of intrigue in this division. Now let's get to the Stephanie Vaquer piece of this thing, because this is the piece that a lot of people are going to just go way off the deep end about. Listen, if it were me, I would, if they were going to make this decision to drop it, I would have had it be Jordan Grace. That's just me. But I'm not Shawn Michaels. I don't run NXT. They maybe wanted to just pull a shock move, do something crazy, something weird. And, maybe they wanted to give Stephanie some sort of an out as, like, to protect her in the fact that she was hit with some interference. And ultimately that's what led to the win. First thing that we need to point out and illustrate here, Stephanie Vaquer is going to the main roster. Like she's been in WWE for like less than a year. She's already won the North American title. She's already won the NXT championship. Like, she's going to the main roster. She was prominently featured on 2 weeks of Raw television. I would not be surprised if she gets into the Money in the Bank match. I would not be surprised, because I think Liv Morgan is supposed to be in a qualifying match, and that might be the last one on the Raw side. And I think there's another one on the SmackDown side. I would not be surprised if Stephanie Vaquer is in the women's Money in the Bank match. And I would certainly be stunned if she's not on Evolution. She's got a match with Lola Vice against 2 women who I'm not very familiar from AAA. And then after that, I think she's done in NXT. That's what this was about. This wasn't about, like, burying a talent or doing this. I mean, for God's sake, Stephanie's 2 losses, her 2 noteworthy pinfall losses in an actual one-on-one match that wasn't like, the Iron Survivor match. She lost to Shotzi, who's no longer in the company, and Jacy Jayne for the women's championship. Like, listen, and again, I applaud her for doing good business. I applaud her for, like she was willing to stay in NXT for as long as she wanted. But like, listen, to me, this doesn't really indicate anything of a burial. And she's already as over as it can possibly be. This doesn't hurt her in the slightest. Yeah, it's weird that she lost to, a talent who wasn't really prominently pushed. And I know some of the AEW geeks are going to come after me. Man, Mercedes Moné would never lose to Penelope Ford or make that type of comparison or something like that. Listen, Mercedes has won like 26 consecutive matches in AEW. She hasn't lost, and I don't think she's losing at All In. So again, like this illustrates my two biggest issues with, or one of my biggest issues with the AEW women's division, whereas the WWE women's division. WWE has so many talented women that they could put in a position to succeed. And yeah, you may not think Jacy Jayne is worthy of the spot, but um I really think that this was a shock move. I think it doesn't hurt Stephanie. Her credibility, I don't think, is harmed by this in the slightest. You can play it off as she had a really physical match, a really hard fought battle with Jordynne Grace, and maybe that's the way they're going to play it off. She had to fight off two other women who were at ringside during the match. So it's not, and Fatal Influence has been a thorn in her side since she was feuding with Val and Henley. So like it's not like this immensely like criminal booking decision. I've said this before in regards to Mercedes Moné, you can lose and still be over. You don't need to beat everybody in your division. And Stephanie was kind of getting to that point where she was just knocking people out. So to do this in a shock fashion, actually, in a weird way, is kind of a genius bit of business. The more that I talk my way through it, like I said, if it were me, I would have if I was going to have Stephanie drop the title, I would have had Jordynne Grace be the one to do it. But maybe Jordynne Grace is going to the main roster. There's so many women in this division that, hey, they could use, especially with an all women's pay-per-view coming up. Why the hell not, man? So yeah, a shocking development in NXT. Did not have, yeah, two shocking developments. I didn't have Ricky Saints dropping his title. I didn't have Stephanie Vaquer dropping her title. Just shows you, man, like you just have no freaking idea what is going to happen in NXT every single week. Like TNA could show up. You could have a shock title change. Like Mike Rome, like go look at Mike Rome's reaction at ringside when he was getting ready to make the announcement. He couldn't even believe it. It was like it was genuinely one of the more shocking moments that you'll see on pro wrestling television in 2025. Because again, unpredictability. That's another part of this and another piece of this that's great. So, congratulations to Jacy Jayne. Congratulations to Stephanie Vaquer on a great run in NXT. Her run is going to end. And it just creates, like I said, you don't know what to expect at this point. You really don't know what to expect each and every week on NXT. So anyway, thanks so much for watching here. I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.